Hey guys, how's it going? Today we're working on a couple of different things out here. We're going to be fertilizing a bunch of stuff and we're going to be pruning hydrangeas and roses. Aaron and I split forces. He started in the back. I think currently at the moment he is fertilizing the Spring Grove arborvitaes and I am up here in the Persephone garden. We're going to, before we fertilize, prune. We're going to prune the roses and hydrangeas in this spot and we're going to just go area by area, tackling just those types of plants today because it's necessary to get that done. They're all starting to leaf out a little bit, so I want to get them all cleaned up before they get too much growth on them. So this is where we're starting. We've got some gorgeous Gatsby pink hydrangeas. And I'm going to come around the boxwood hedge, which is also looking beautiful, so we can reach them. Oakleaf hydrangeas bloom on old wood, which means they set their buds for this year's blooms on last year's wood. So it's really important not to actually prune these. We're only going to be deadheading or removing last year's blooms. And it's very easy to do. We come in here, you can see the growth from last year and a bunch of buds right here, a bunch of fresh growth at the tip, but you can also see last year's blooms looking kind of crummy. So we just get in there and pop them out. I don't even know if we're going to need pruners for this job. Well, maybe. That one doesn't want to come. Of course it doesn't. There we go. Whew. We can also remove leaves from last year if we want to. I don't think that's 100% necessary, but just to clean them up a tiny bit more. But aren't these gorgeous? Look at the bark. It's like a paper bark maple. They are so gorgeous in the wintertime. They've got this kind of cinnamon color. I just love them. The oakleaf hydrangea are the only type of hydrangeas that I just deadhead in our garden anyway. But there are two other groups of hydrangeas. There's the macrophylla, which are the big leaf hydrangeas, and serrata hydrangeas, which are the mountain type hydrangeas that also bloom on old wood. Some varieties will bloom on old and new wood, but it's just important with those three types. So your oakleaf, macrophylla, serrata, pick a variety that will stay the size you need it to be. Don't put something in that will not fit in that space because then you have to really kind of time your pruning perfectly so that you don't accidentally cut off blooms for the next year. The rest of them that we will be tackling will either be arborescens, the smooth type hydrangeas, or panicle type hydrangeas, which bloom on new wood, and we prune those completely differently. And I will walk you through that. So we only have a small handful. We've got 3, I think, on this side, and then there's 1 more on that side of the oak leaf. Oh no, I've got a few more underneath the ash tree over there. I would love to have more. They are so gorgeous. And there's also some roses up here. I'm gonna grab my pruners. I have walked you through this already this spring a couple of times, but we'll run through it really quickly. Okay, I'm trying to pick my way through here so I can reach the roses. So these are Olivia, what are they? These are a David Austin. It has the word Olivia in the name. I don't think that's the full name. I can't remember, but they grow in a very tight vase shape. Look at that. I mean, these are several years old and they just come like straight up out of the ground. So what I want to do with these, I want to move anything that's clearly dead, like this one. Dead, you can tell because it does not look fresh and green. The wood is kind of puckered. And if you did the bark test on these, which, you know, you can run your pruner like this, remove that top layer of bark, it's super brown underneath. So there's no life left in that branch. Look for any more dead stuff. Boy, this one didn't come out of winter very nice, did it? Gosh dang, I need loppers. Ah, my goodness. Okay, so that pretty much does it for the dead stuff in here. Now we need to cut it back and thin it out. So when we cut back a rose, we look for an outward facing bud. So you can follow your branch down. See this bud facing inward, like toward the center of the plant? If we were to cut here, I'm just gonna do it for demonstration. If we were to leave that, the new branch would grow toward the center of the plant, and we don't really want that. So I'm gonna follow it down further. This one's facing the outside of the shrub. That's where we wanna make our cut. Just like that. And I don't worry about slanted cuts or anything like that. We just get the job done. And I usually cut my roses back to about like knee height or maybe a few inches higher than that, depending on the overall size of the shrub. For our larger ones, like this one right in here, this is a huge hybrid tea rose. It was here when we moved in. I'll probably cut it back to like, I don't know, how high is this? You can kind of see. It's like right at my belly button. Belly button height pruning. Boom. And we'll go take after that one a little bit higher because this one has trunks at the bottom. Massive. Okay, so let's make all of our cuts here. And look at this, you guys. Okay, so see these 2 branches growing very close together and they're even kind of crossing one another. I want to choose one to keep. And it looks like this one's having some struggles. You see the dead branches we've cut out of there already. I think I'm going to cut that one out so that this one, whoop, is left. And that one can fill up the space. Okay, so that one is done. Now, sometimes they look fairly severe like this, like I didn't leave a whole lot there, and sometimes they're a lot more full. I don't even really love how this one's kind of cruising that way. We could eliminate this one completely and let this rose kind of rebound and maybe fix its shape a little bit, but I don't know. We're just gonna go with it. But you can see the end goal is to make sure that there's room enough around all of these stems for light and airflow and so on and so forth to keep the rose healthy. And this is our pile that's left over. These boxwoods, you can tell from the back how much worse they look. From the front, I've cut a lot of the dead out. These are gonna go here really soon. Look at that. There's just holes all over the place. You can see a ton of spider mite damage from last season. Lovely. But this whole area is gonna be very interesting once the boxwoods are gone and it's open to the rest of it. I'm excited for that. We've also got some Kodiak orange durvellas, which are phenomenal. I love these shrubs so much. I think they are so, so pretty. We might need to do a little bit of pruning on these later. I see a few branches that may or may not have life in them. We'll give them a little longer. So anyway, I'm going to deadhead the oakleaf hydrangeas, get these roses pruned, and then we will apply some fertilizer and I will stop and show you how much I'm using. I'll show you the bag though real quick. So I need to get my pop bag anyway out of here. Gosh, it's pleasant out today. Samantha is out here with me. She's just chilling. She's playing. Okay, so we've got rose tone right here, which we're going to be using on our hydrangeas and our roses. And I don't measure out how much I'm giving them, but there is a guide on the back for established plants. Single plants, you sprinkle 1 1/4 cup of rose tone around the drip line of each plant. And here's a little image of where the drip line is around the plant. You can see that you don't put the fertilizer right up next to the crown of the plant. It's more of like a wider circle around the exterior of the canopy. For example, we've got a Stonehenge Dark Druid yew right here. Instead of putting the fertilizer, right here at the base, you would go kind of like this around the plant where the outermost part of the canopy is. Because usually, the root system's coming out. It's not just directly underneath the plant. And most of the time, the most active roots are toward the outer part or the drip line of the plant. And that's where the roots will be most active in taking up the nutrients. Okay, let's get all of our pruning done first. Ooh, also on roses, it's important to make sure to remove all the old leaves too. If you've got a lot hanging on, you want to pop those off. I think I'm going to go ahead and trim these durvellas because I'm pretty sure of where the dead is versus the living. Like you can see on this individual branch right here, there's some little branches that have leaves, but like the tips completely dried up and it looks like there's no life in it. So I'm going to do my best to clean these up. Got all the pruning done in this area, and the sun decided to come out a little bit. It's beautiful, as is this area. We're gonna need to come back through with a rake just to do some fine tuning, but we need to come and like rake out. You can't really see them that well, but there's a ton of leaves underneath the boxwood hedging, more on the backside. So we're gonna need to do kind of an overhaul in the way of just kind of clean up. Maybe we'll do that at the same day that we pull all these boxwoods right here. But you can see the 3 roses that we started with. I'm glad we decided to take after the Durvellas. I just figured when I was looking at them a little closer that those other branches would have leafed out by now, you know, given the fact that the rest of them had already. And I just think they needed an overhaul. You can see these leaves are fairly advanced. And I just would have imagined, well, here's one that I missed, that these would have leafed out if they were going to, you know, but they were crunchy and dry. So I think it's much better. Took after the great big rose. That looks so much better. All the oakleaf hydrangeas have been deadheaded and cruise in this direction. On this side, we just had the 1 oakleaf here, and then these barely needed anything. I've got 4 right in here. 3 of the Jubilee Celebration roses. They're David Austin. They're gorgeous. There used to be more sun in this area when I planted them. These trees have grown up quite a bit. We probably should relocate these at some point. And this rose right here, which is an angel face. It's a very pretty rose. This one was here when we moved in as well. Side note, there's more color in these pots than when we planted them. All the Kerry tulips are blooming, and the other ones, Attila, which will take over, I'm guessing, as soon as these kind of peter out, they have grown up like a couple inches since we planted them. I'm so excited. Okay, so now we are going to apply our fertilizer, and I just do my best to try to get approximately 1 1/4 cup around the base of each plant. The nice thing about this fertilizer is that it's an organic slow feed, so it's very hard to overdo it. As opposed to a synthetic fertilizer, you have to really be a little bit more precise because it's easier, especially on more tender, younger plants, to burn them. So just keep that in mind. So we're just going to take this and sprinkle some around the drip line of this rose, like so. That looks good. And then you can take your hand and scratch it into the soil surface or a rake or something like that. I honestly don't do that most of the time. I just apply the fertilizer and it eventually works its way down there, especially because we're going to be getting rain. It'll just push it right down to the roots of the plant. All right, I'm going to get all these done. Easier said than done when they're massive plants. Oh, windy day isn't the best for applying fertilizer. Jeez. All right, guys, it is a new day. We decided to pack it in yesterday when the wind started to pick up. It's very difficult to fertilize when the wind is blowing really hard. And it doesn't look like we're gonna have too much time today before we get rained out. But my goal is to just make it through the flower beds directly surrounding the house. There's a couple of hydrangeas near the chicken coop. There's one here on the west side. And then I might prune a couple more roses and fertilize. But you can see what's coming our way. We're supposed to get quite a lot of rain today. So we're just gonna see what we can get finished up, and Erin's continuing on as well. So at the end of the west side here, there's actually some tumbleweeds I need to pick out of the flower beds. This happens after every wind storm that we get. We have to go around and pick up willow branches and tumbleweeds. And these are the pokiest things ever. These are small. Sometimes a tumbleweed as big as an adult human will blow in. It's crazy. But we've got a panicle hydrangea right here. So I just show you the differences between what we just got done yesterday with the oak leaves and the panicles. So a panicle or a smooth hydrangea both bloom on new wood. So the best time to prune this type of hydrangea or the arborescens type is late winter, early spring when the buds start to swell. You can see all the signs of new life. You can also easily determine if there are any dead branches, like this one right here. There are no buds swelling on that one. Easy to get rid of those types of things like that. I think this one right here looks to be dead. Easily get rid of that. We get rid of anything that's broken. See, that branch is broken. You know what? I need another bag of rose tone. Okay, so once we've got broken and dead stuff out of there for a panicle, especially for a shrub type, you can see this is a tree form, but for shrub type, you want to take them down by about 1/3 of their total height. And that way you leave the bottom branches to form up a really strong network so that they don't flop. This is a limelight hydrangea. They don't tend to flop anyway. They're a really strong one. For tree forms, sometimes we'll take them down more than 1/3, especially if we need to size control them or train them into a better shape. So to prune these, I just follow this down to a really strong set of buds, and that one looks really good. So we're just going to prune right there. Easy peasy. And then once I make my first cut, I kind of try to keep the other ones in a nice shape based on how long that one is. So like this one here, I would follow down and cut right above that set of buds right there. And then I just keep going. And if you feel tentative about it, prune a little higher, and that way you can take off a little bit more if you need to. But honestly, the amount you cut off, I wouldn't stress too much about it. I mean, they give you a guideline with, take about 1/3 off. If you go a little bit deeper than that, that's fine. If you go a little bit higher than that, that's fine as well. All right, let's try to get at least, 5 more plants pruned before the rain descends. There, that looks a lot better. Unlike the arborvitaes I was just noticing behind them. Look at how splayed out those are. We're gonna need to tie those up here soon. All right, so now we're gonna apply some fertilizer. All right, so we are just gonna carry on until we can't carry on any further. Okay, wanted to take a quick break to show you this hydrangea because it's a small one. We planted it late last season. This is an Invincible Ruby smooth hydrangea. They're gorgeous, gorgeous pink blooms. I cannot wait to see them grow this year. And I'm really encouraged to see all the strong growth. But I just wanted to show you what some of these newly planted ones can kind of do because they sometimes suffer a little bit more winter damage. And if you take a look at the base of this hydrangea, all these stems down here, they do not have buds. And you can tell that the wood is a little bit more desiccated and dry looking. I'm going to cut all of that out from the base. We do that really quick. That always cleans things up fast. So you can really see what you've got to work with here. Okay, so we're just left with a few stems here, several of which have very strong buds. But like this one right here, sometimes you have to follow them all the way down, especially on these newly planted ones that aren't as established yet. And we are going to cut all the way down here. And you can see the 2 green buds that are right below that cut. So that's sometimes necessary. There's one more on this plant right here. It's a little bit more of a wispy branch, which I typically don't leave in unless they're young and I really want to have that branch there, but we have to follow that one down all the way to here, where there's a nice set of buds. Now the rest of these here, like this one, if we follow it down to here, you can actually see one bud, but the stronger set is down lower. So I'm going to cut right above this strong set as opposed to this one. And I'm going to follow suit on the rest of these, like this one here, follow down. There is a set of buds right there. Not super strong, but the next set is very strong. So I'm going to cut there, 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 There and there. So I just thought it might be helpful to some of you guys who have just planted hydrangeas and maybe you're just dealing with smaller plants, that sometimes this is what they look like after you're done pruning them. And it can be a little bit scary because you feel like you're cutting way too much of the plant off, but you're really not. You really want to just leave the healthy stuff so that the plant is not sending energy into all this, you know, spindly growth that just isn't as strong. And then we fertilize. And that one is done. I'm not cutting very much of these off because they've kind of been struggling to grow because they are on the north side of this chicken coop and they really do need more light. So in some cases, these are loaded with beautiful buds and I just topped them all, deadheaded last year's blooms off of the plant, just a general like small cleanup, but I'm not gonna do a major prune on these. There's green in the stems. I'm gonna cut them back, but they don't really have any buds. All right, guys, I think I'm gonna call it. We did get further than I thought we were gonna get, which is great. We popped over here to the south garden and got some little hydrangeas pruned as well as some roses. Boy, these were beastly too. So big. These are the Rise Up Amber Nests and they are absolutely gorgeous, especially that apricot color with this blue procumbens blue spruce. It's just such a beautiful contrast. The rain is starting to pick up and we keep getting big gusts of wind. Right now it's fairly calm. Got these sort of trimmed a little bit. Like I said, they look dead for the most part, but they're all green on the inside of the stems. So I think we're good. I just kind of deadheaded these and largely left them alone. These had a few more spent blooms from last year, and then we got that rose done as well. So it's just about chipping away at projects like this, and we'll just come back out when it gets nice and do some more. We don't have that many more. I mean, there's a few more hydrangeas on this side, and then there's a number of them on the other side, but once you get into the mode, you can really go quickly, especially if you're only just doing one type of plant or two types of plants, like in this case. You can move through flower beds really quick and you feel very productive. And then we just go back through to do fine tuning and cut back any more perennials that might need it or do a little bit of raking. Our gator is full. We need to go unload it, and I kind of want to go check up with Aaron and see how he's coming along with the fertilizing. see. How did I hurt? Oh, there he is. Are you packing it in too?
Yeah.
Rain makes it kind of hard in the wind.
It's not great for fertilizing weather, as Benjamin says.
Fertilizing. How far did you get?
Not as far as I wanted to. I got the Spring Grove arbs done over here.
A whole line of arbs. That's good.
Yeah, and I used 6 or 7 bags of plantain on those. How many did we plant here? Do we remember?
No.
Like 30 or 40?
Oh, I don't think that many. Let me do a count. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 36.
36? Well, okay.
Yeah, you're right on.
And then I fertilized the boxwoods. And then we were going to get to the other arbs.
Which boxwoods?
The boxwoods on the west side.
Okay.
And on the boxwoods, I should have raked out the leaves beforehand. And so when I got to the arbs, there was a bunch of junk underneath the arbs. So we spent the majority of our time just cleaning out underneath the arbs.
Oh, I see.
Because there was just so much like needle cast and junk like that.
Well,
so,
it's all stuff that needed to be done.
I know, it's just spring cleanup stuff. There's just a lot of it. But anyway, and I actually wanted to do the tree tone first and get a lot of the big trees.
Well, those are big bags.
Yeah, because trees are kind of
pounds.
my thing.
Yeah.
but the plant tone was on top, and I was too lazy to move the plant tone off.
Well, if you need to use it,
I just thought, well, I'll just hit all the stuff that needs plant tone. So I'll go through all of this first. And then, there's some rose tone, there's some lawn food I need to take off. And then I'll get to fertilizing. Like the big thing I want to do is I want to make sure that these have a lot of plant food.
Yeah.
Since they're new.
Sure.
So.
But this is what Espoma recommends. Arborvitaes and boxwoods in particular are fed by plantain. I'm not sure exactly the reason, but.
I don't know. I think they've explained it to us multiple times.
Probably.
And it just has never taken, because we've always kind of thought that you could do like holly tone on arborvitaes and boxwoods, but they recommend plant tone for it. So I don't really know. Maybe that's more of like an East Coast thing.
Possibly.
Because I would think that over here where we've got more alkaline soil, like anything would benefit from holly tone.
Sure.
Because I mean, that's one of the reasons your parents have always loved it so much, is because I don't know if it's got some like soil acidifier inside or what it's got, but they've always just like ranted and raved about how awesome holly tone is.
Yeah.
So I don't know, you could probably do either or, but I've just been putting plant tone since that's what Espoma said.
Sure. So like I said, this is just going to be an ongoing project.
Until we get rid of the pallet.
Yeah. It does look like, I mean, given our weather today and what our forecast looks like, it does look like we had a little bit of a false summer this past week where it got super warm, like close to 80 degrees. It was wonderful, but it does look like we're cruising back into true beginning of April weather. So that'll slow some things down, which will be good.
Which I'm okay with, because man, like upper 70s was a little warm for me.
It was. We need time to acclimate.
Yeah, I wasn't like quite ready for that.
Yeah, well, and it also gives us more time to do jobs like this before things leaf out too much more.
But doing this, like this is the kind of, when we say rain, this is the kind of rain that we get. And it really does sort of like settle in the fertilizer. We don't get like gully washer kind of rains.
Very often.
At least, not very often.
Couple times a year.
We get them, but we kind of know when they're coming generally. So we like to try to get as much fertilizer out before, sprinkles and rains like this, because it just settles everything down. And then you don't have to do it yourself, because you really should water it in after you're done fertilizing. But if you can let the rain do it, then less work for you.
And one could continue in weather like this. It's not too bad.
Yeah.
It's the wind and the gusts that we're supposed to be getting, and it's kind of starting to pick up here and there this morning that make it a little bit difficult. So anyway, I feel like we made some good progress on what we set out to do, and that's good. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.